Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Defense of the Patients. Today I'm doing another DotP one-on-one, and today's guest is the one and only Charlie Yang. Welcome to the show, Charlie.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah, you're somebody who I think captivates a lot of people's interest in the scene. I don't know, you both...
That's really strange to hear.
well, I mean, you have a really... I don't want to say completely uncensored kind of an image in the scene, but at the same time, because at the same time you also do a really good job of connecting with the public. You know what I mean? I guess you do a good job with PR while somehow still maintaining this kind of image of you don't give a shit and you'll say whatever you want to say.
Oh man. I'll take it. I'll take it.
So, how do you? Is that how you perceive yourself in the scene? I mean, how do you?
I don't really know. If you spend a lot of time trying to worry about that, it's just like another burden. Um I personally I try to um be who I want to be. Um and I think for me, there's a lot of value in just being able to say what I want to say, how I want to say it. Um, this is an industry that censors a lot of things, and you often have to be like really careful about what you say and who you piss off. And so I guess when I get the opportunity to sort of express myself, um, I take it. It's a pretty cathartic experience. So I try to do that. Other than that, um, I just spam memes.
Sure, fair enough, fair enough. Well, I don't know. I guess kind of you being you, for lack of a better term, it seems to kind of be your mo in the scene. I was reading an article that or an interview that you had done a while back, talking about how kind of what led you to esports was you didn't want any other kid or you didn't want kids in the future to be playing a video game and saying to themselves, "I want to play this game professionally," and not have or not even be able to consider that as a possibility.
Yeah, that's what initially got me in. I I was I played a lot of Dota 1 back when I was in undergrad. And I played like with a lot of the pros that played now, like Aoi 2000, Arteezy, um, and I don't know. Back then, like everyone was kind of bad, but like I was, I don't know. I was in there, and I don't know. Maybe I was delusional. I thought, if I had the time, if there was a future in this, um, I might want to give my, try my hand at going pro. But I mean, obviously back then there wasn't much of a future in it. And I just graduated. I was about to graduate from undergrad, and I had to, do something more real with my life. So I
Yeah.
went to law school instead. Um, and you know, I guess I don't want anybody else to have to make that choice, whether or not like I could have gone pro or not. I mean, I probably couldn't have. But regardless, if you are good enough, if you do have the talent like Sumail does or Artur does, like you shouldn't have to be forced to like
Get a day job.
yeah, like kill yourself going to law school or something.
Do you? What do you think it takes to be a pro? I mean, do you think they need to start at that young of an age? I mean, is that when it's like professional sports? I mean, are you at your peak when maybe you're even younger in esports than you are with traditional sports?
I wouldn't say that. I would say it really depends on your game. Um, but traditionally, I would say it's really a mix, and it really depends on who you are because while this the benefits that younger players have are, you know, you can play longer, uh, you have better reflexes, you're you don't have some of that, old man like late 20s sort of like grime on your brain that slows you down. But I think there are also benefits of being older. Older players tend to work better with other players. This is a lot of esports titles are team games, and it require you to work with your teammates. Older players are tend to be better at that. Older players are tend to be better leaders. Older players tend to have more experience and know what it takes to win. They have that uh, knowledge that you no matter how good you are, you have to keep on improving and you have to work hard, and that's something that a lot of young phenoms tend to lack.
Yeah, for sure. So, what are you up to currently? We know you just got back from Manila.
Yeah.
So what's on the docket for Charlie Yang right now?
Um, so I don't manage now that I don't manage the team anymore, and I guess I haven't for 2 months. I transitioned into a position at Twitch Esports. I've been in that department for since right after the Shanghai major. Um, and I'm sorry if you can hear that noise. I'm still at the office, and I guess the janitors are vacuuming the floor right now. Um, so apologies for that.
So you got your
The
nose to
guy,
the grindstone. You're working
yeah,
working late.
yeah, yeah. So's this guy. He's just trying to do his job. Sorry for the shit audio quality, guys.
That's all
Um,
right. We barely
oh,
we
oh,
barely hear it.
he's getting closer. It's getting louder.
Uh oh.
Should we like cut this out or?
Nah, forget it.
No, we just going. All
Yeah,
right, we
it
just going.
it adds a nice level of charm, you know.
Yeah. Oh man.
So, obviously you by the time folks are hearing this will have announced that you're no longer managing EG.
Yeah.
Um,
No longer managing EG. Like I said, I'm Twitch Esports now. I do player and talent relationships in this department. Um, what exactly I work on, you'll just have to see, I guess.
so,
Um,
will we be seeing you? Will we be seeing the beautiful mug of Charlie Yang on a Twitch stream sometime in the near future?
I mean, I'll be at the hub. I'll be casting the qualifiers with. I'll be. Hold on. Wait, he's like right next to me.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All
All
right.
right, we're back. We did have to cut for a second there, so poor Charlie could focus without the janitor trying to vacuum underneath his desk there. You were talking about being over at Twitch. You're going to be casting and then you're going to be casting the as the open qualifiers.
No, so I'm gonna be casting the nobody's casting up. Well, I guess some people might cast open qualifiers, but no, I'll be at the BTS hub for the Manila qualifiers, casting the regional qualifiers. If I do any more camera work or any more casting work, who knows? But for the most part, I'm at Twitch Esports, player and talent relations. Um, as for what exactly I'm working on, you guys will have to see.
So I want to go back. I want to start at the very beginning. Where did you grow up?
Uh, okay, so I was born in China. I was born in Fuzhou, China. I spent a year there, and then immediately after, me and my parents moved to Toronto, Canada. Oh God, he has started up again. It's not bad, right?
No, we don't hear it
Okay,
on our end at all. So
okay. Anyways, after a year, we moved to Toronto, Canada. I spent about 4 or 5 years there. Um, and then we moved to Houston, Texas. Spent
oh wow.
three years there. Then I moved to Silver Spring, Maryland. Spent like 3 years there, and then we moved to Los Angeles, and I spent I guess most of my adolescence, high school, uh, undergrad in LA.
So why did you guys move around so much?
Dad changed jobs a lot. He is a quantum physicist, I guess. I don't know, like
Damn.
the science math gene, like that passed me. So I got none of that. And he kept on like changing jobs, going to different research labs. and I guess now he's a professor.
Wow.
Uh, but yeah, I remember when I was in high school and I was like, Dad, I can't do physics. I'm dropping out. And he just like buried his head in his hands and he's just like he didn't say it, but I could see him say fuck.
So I mean, did how did he respond when you told him, "Hey, Dad, I'm done with law school. Now I'm gonna work in professional video games."
Oh man, I mean, I think like a lot of people, I fought with my parents a lot about esports, gaming, that whole scene. Um, I actually started working in esports in the middle of law school. I was already like I was in the middle of it. At that point, uh, I had just come back from working at an NGO in China, and it was like amazing work. But I remember like sitting in my apartment in Beijing watching MLG Columbus 2011, I think it was 2011, 2012, and I just remember like thinking to myself, I should be there right now. Just I don't want to be in China right now. I should be at MLG Columbus at that event. And so when I came back, this is after my first year of law school, I came back and I said I'm going to work in esports. I didn't tell my parents immediately. Um, I just like stopped applying to like legal jobs and doing traditional legal things and like
Did you pass the bar?
I okay, I'll get to that.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I came back. I started like putting on tournaments and I started writing for ESFI. And then a little bit after that, Aoi 2000 asked me to be the manager of Pot and Bottom. After like my second year of law school, I said yes. We became Dignitas. And then I guess when I graduated law school, I was still in esports and knew I was gonna be in here, and I was just like going to tournaments and events, so I didn't really have time to like sit down and take the bar. So I just said like, fuck it, I'm not gonna take the bar, and I didn't take the bar. And then like later at the end of that year, EG hired me, and now I'm here.
When did you break the news to your dad?
I told them, I told them like maybe like 2, 3 months after I came back from China, and my dad was like okay with it. Well, he was more okay with it. I would say like my parents weren't really okay with it. They were my mom was very upset. She was definitely the more upset of the two. She was just like, how are you gonna eat and pay your bills and what did you go to law school for, et cetera, et cetera. My dad was like, I don't really believe in this. But if you can prove it to me, then whatever. Um,
How do they feel now? Now that I mean, you obviously managed EG at what may, or at least so far, has been the peak of their career, winning TI5. How do they view it all now?
oh, I mean they're good about it now. They, I mean my dad I think like begrudgingly accepts it, and then like my mom's sort of done like the 180 and brags to her friends about it and stuff like that. And like when I try and shame her and like you know, bring up like all the fights we had about it, she just ignores me, pretends it never happened.
Well, I mean, hey, that's better than the alternative, right? That she still keeps telling you the bottom's gonna fall out at any moment, or I mean, do you worry about that working in esports, that at any moment this whole structure could just crumble down below us? Is that ever
No,
a worry?
no, I think I've always felt like this is something that was going to be a success. Uh, I think I saw like the success of esports or the rise of it as an inevitability. The only thing that was in question was whether or not I was going to be a part of it. I think like video games are the new medium of this generation, like how everybody growing up 30, 40, 50 years ago watched TV, and like that was the new medium of that time. Everybody now grows up playing video games, and it's just it's an inevitability that like competition around it is going to take off. It's just a matter of what form does it take, who leads it, who's a part of it, what do we do with this space, and what do we do with the opportunities that are given to us.
Do you like the direction that it is going? You know, the people who are taking charge, who are kind of rising to the top.
Oh, remember how in the beginning of this interview I said you can't always say what you want to say. Uh, I don't know. To be honest, it's like it's it's hard to say because I feel like we're still such a very young industry. I don't really know what direction we're taking. I think there have been a lot of decisions that I've disagreed with. There's been a lot of things that have happened in this space, like big things, big trends that make me uncomfortable and make me worry. And at the same time, we are growing and we're getting like big injections of money from non-endemics, from VCs, from whoever. Um, and I think, uh, who knows where that will lead. I guess I'll say like one of the things I don't really like are, I guess the model where single rich billionaires, I guess, come into a space and um, I guess startup teams or organizations that don't really operate like businesses, um,
Mm.
where they're funded by, I guess, their own personal money rather than the money that the team generates through sponsorships or sales or whatever. I think that's sort of an unsustainable model, and I think it's something that we should get away from.
I mean,
I
it's
don't know.
definitely not how traditional sports operate.
No, no, and I think that's been a bubble, and I think that's something that a lot of Chinese teams are slash used to be. That might have changed a little bit now, but I'm not a big fan of like in there's a Chinese term called fu er dai, and it means like uh second generation really rich kids that take their parents' money, and like there's a lot of fu er dai team owners, and the way they run their teams aren't like traditional businesses, and I think that's a direction that we shouldn't be going towards.
Yeah, I love hearing that critique because I feel like, and I'm just as guilty as anybody, a lot of the conversation kind of tends to go towards like, is esports maturing? Is esports becoming professional? Is esports censoring itself too much? And I don't know. I think you've got the right perspective. I mean, yeah, we should probably be looking at how the business of esports is conducted before we worry too much about what our image may be to the rest of society.
Sure. I think in a lot of ways those things go hand in hand. How we conduct our business also shapes how we're perceived by the rest of society. How the rest of society perceives us also affects how we do our business.
Yeah, I mean, do you think esports has matured? I guess while we're on that subject.
Of course, it has. I think in a lot of ways we definitely have. Just by the simple passage of time, people involved in it have gotten older and they're more experienced and they make better choices. Not everybody, but a fair amount of people have, they learn from their mistakes, and as the industry has grown, they've grown.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned, getting back to the origins of Charlie Yang, that you spent a considerable amount of time in L.A. Is L.A. where you consider home? Or
Yeah, for the most part, when people ask me where I'm from, I say LA. It's easier than saying, China, Toronto, Houston, Maryland.
yeah, running through the gamut. And is that where your folks still live?
Actually, no. In the in the middle of undergrad, my dad got a offer to be a professor at the University of Actually, I don't know if I should even say,
Oh, that's fine.
but
Yeah, that's fine. We don't have to drill too much
but
there.
but they no they moved out somewhere else.
Nice. Um, and where did you go to law school?
I went to undergrad at UCLA and I went to law school at the University of Cincinnati.
Do you feel like that law degree has helped shape how you conduct yourself within esports?
Yeah, it definitely has. I don't know how much. I probably don't. There's a lot of it I don't use, like, civil procedure or stuff like that. But I think the process of going through law school and the lessons it taught me, like, um, how to work hard, how to get ahead, how to um, conduct yourself amongst your peers and stuff like that. I think those were the most valuable lessons for me.
Uh, so so you get into esports. You're managing EG. I read an interview where you talked about, or where well, actually, it wasn't even an interview. It was a piece that Bloomberg did. That was actually kind of comical to read because it the way it describes Dota, there are a lot of inaccuracies. Of course, it's obviously written by somebody who is an outsider, is expected with Bloomberg.
Hmm.
But they talk about you recruiting Sumail to EG, or you heading to Illinois to meet Sumail's parents.
Hmm.
How was it that you guys decided that you wanted to go after Sumail?
Uh, it was honestly pretty simple. So Universe Sahil had played with Sumail in an in-house league. The kid got like number one in NEL, and he was really good. He recognized that talent, offered, and asked him to join EG. And as like a 15-year-old kid in Dota, you don't really say no when Evil Geniuses offers you a spot on the
Yeah.
roster. So he said yes. He didn't really know like the business side of anything. Um, he didn't really know like what he had to do, like what was involved in being a pro player. So neither did his parents. They didn't know what to expect. He had to, you join a team, you sign a contract, you have certain obligations. You get something in return. So uh, I mean, he said yes without, to be fair, without thinking of all of that. And it was still a good deal for him. But I had to make sure that I guess due diligence was done. So I flew out to his place in Chicago, talked to his parents, told them, this is what to expect, this is what's going to happen, this is what he's going to have to do, this is what we should expect from you guys, and this is what you can expect in return. Um, and sort of had that talk with him. Uh, and I think they were pretty accepting of it. Um, I think it helped that I went through a lot of I guess that same conversation with my own parents, um, and I understood like their worries for their son. Um,
So I mean, did you see a little bit of young Charlie Yang in young Sumail?
to be honest, no, but I saw a lot of like my parents' fears in his parents, or I guess his mom, and but at the same time, I think what most parents are really worried about is stability and financial stability, and just making sure that their kid has a future. And it's a little cynical, but I think when a lot of parents see that their kid is making a lot of money, and then when they see that return, they're like, all right, I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
And I can't say no to I can't say no to how much money you're you're making and how much money you're gonna potentially win.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I guess I do understand. I understand the fear, and I think everybody can. And anybody who's ever played video games and had that casual thought that man, they'd love to just play that video game forever, and have that be the job. Um, I totally see it, and more so to the point, you see like professional athletes, right? They have short, finite careers. It's a big problem in the NFL that these linemen are basically blowing out their bodies, ensuring that they're never going to be able to work.
Blowing out their brains
Yeah,
too.
yeah. And they may never get another gig ever again. And it turns out there are only about two dozen casting positions at ESPN open at any given time for a former athlete, and you guys are churning through, hundreds of athletes every year potentially. There's not a lot of career potential, beyond that. Do you think there's a longer career lifespan in esports for young players, or do you think at some point we might run into similar issues?
I think that's super hard to say. Like, honestly, what is the lifespan of a player? I think, for the most part, player lifespans have been more dictated by the lifespan of the game rather than the lifespan of the player itself. Um, just throughout history, that might not be so true anymore in recent esports history, but in the past, like you look at CS 1.6, you look at Quake, the Brood War, all those sorts of games where maybe less so Brood War, but a lot of those games, players have not stopped playing because they got old or their hands fell off or something. They stopped playing those games because those games died.
Yeah.
Um, so it's really hard to say what exactly the lifespan of a player looks like especially in different games. Um, I think in certain games you can go on to play for quite a while. In some games like I think Dota, I think age helps you in a lot of ways. Um, in some games like League, maybe not. Maybe your reflexes get too slow to hit all those skill shots. Maybe, and at the same time, for the players whose bodies can't keep up because of arm injuries or repetitive use injuries, um, how much of that can be mitigated by proper care and proper ergonomics at the very beginning of their careers rather than at the end.
Yeah.
Um, like in terms of player health, we're very immature with regards to that. How we take care of our players, how we ensure that their hands and forearms can maintain playing for however many hours a day they play for.
I mean, so you kind of talk about lifespan of the player possibly being tied to the game. Do you ever have a concern, or do you ever wonder about the lifespan of Dota?
Oh yeah, all the time. All the time. And sorry, I realized I didn't really give you much of an answer for
No,
that.
I mean, you touched on a lot of really important things there. I think things that probably the casual listener, the casual Dota fan, doesn't really contemplate when it comes to players.
Well,
Um,
I guess to wrap it up, I would say I think there's a fair amount of opportunity for players to have a career in esports. I would say just strictly speaking about Dota, I would say there's a fair amount of opportunity, mostly because uh, players just hands down make the best analytical casters. And there's
yeah,
there's
sure.
probably um, decent room for that. And there's also like a lack of, I would say, really good content. Like our scene is still very young, so there is opportunity out there for them, and they offer a perspective that nobody else has. Um, and then I guess in regards to the lifespan of Dota, um, I would say that's it's a I think it's something that everybody in the industry worries about. How long is my game gonna last? When do I need to diversify? Casters think about it all the time. Um, Players think about it. It's and at this point, I think most of us are just like, this is mostly a Valve thing. This is mostly in their hands. What kind of tools, what kind of support can they develop to really keep this going? Um,
Yeah.
and that's I think it'll last at least at the very least a few more years. That's the minimum. That's the minimum.
Mhm.
Who knows, what happens in a few more years that could lengthen or shorten the lifespan of this game. Like 3 years is a very long time in esports. Hell, 1 year is a
Yeah.
long time in esports.
Well, I mean, it feels like StarCraft kind of rose and fell almost overnight in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and that was due to a lot of people felt like that was due to how Blizzard treated their game. Um, and in the reality in this space is that developers have an insane amount of power over the scene. From Riot to Blizzard to Valve, like they essentially own the IP, and so in many ways they own the space. Um, and so much of this is in their hands. That's not to say that the community and the people involved in the scene can't do anything themselves. There are definitely things that we can do. Um, and I think in the last however many years, especially in Dota, I think we've done a not so great job of doing the things that we could be doing. Um, I think esports in general is very much like uh, a bunch of people fighting over uh, like a very small pie in the beginning, and then it's sort of grown into a little bigger pie. But we're still fighting over like a small piece of pie when instead we could be working together to bake a Marie Callender's like monstrosity or something.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
like we're like relative to other industries, relative to like physical sports, we're still very small, and there's still so much room for us to grow. And
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, we've like fucked ourselves.
How do you mean?
Oh, that's
Is that one of those can't
yeah,
can't say what you want to say all?
yeah. That's definitely a
All right,
cancel.
all right, fair enough. So, you talked about Valve and the developers kind of having that control. Do you like the way that Valve has stepped in now that we've gone through a couple of majors? We're on the brink of a new major. Do you like the way that Valve has stepped in with the tournament structure?
Yes and no. Um, I think I think they're very well intentioned, in terms of the fact that they want this game to grow, um, and they see problems and they try and fix them the best they can. Um, but in a lot of ways, uh, like for example, the recent roster locking system and how majors are done. Um, well, I think it's a step in the right direction. Um, its its implementation left something to be desired. In a lot of ways, it made the scene more unstable, and more uh, lopsided in favor of Valve events rather than and it took away from a lot of the significance of third party events.
Hmm.
um, I guess they plopped down three majors in the middle of the year, and it affected the rest of the scene in ways that they might not have foreseen or they couldn't have foreseen. Like for example, in the next 3 months, and I guess currently what's going on, I guess in like from the end of April to up until TI, there's 12 pretty big events in the span of 90 days.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Uh, some of them haven't necessarily been announced, so little spoiler there. But on the schedule right now, there's about 12 premiere events in the span of 90 days, and a lot of this has to do with how the majors are set up and when that schedule is. Uh,
It's basically everybody just trying to get in their event as quickly as possible,
yeah,
between
and
majors.
yeah, and organizers are also greedy for the prime summer months, like
Mhm.
Ju- May, June, July are the months that everybody wants to do an event. It's like the best viewership, the best attendance, ad money, stuff like that. Those are the prime months, and everyone wants to get it in during those 3 months. But not everybody can get it in. Like get in those 3 months. So
Yeah.
it's like problems within the scene that need to be worked out.
Um, yeah, I don't know. So when you say there's been some lackluster changes, do you refer specifically to Shanghai?
Yeah, Shanghai was I would say in terms of like prize pool ratio and how much money and how much effort, well, not effort, but I guess how many resources went into that event to like output, it was like easily the worst event I think I've ever attended.
What
Uh,
I mean, what was it like? What was Charlie Yang like over there in Shanghai in the midst of that production nightmare?
uh, uh, from the player and team perspective side, it wasn't the worst. Um, the biggest issue is that I think we wasted 2 days because we didn't have 144 hertz monitors when we, like for the practice rooms, and so um, a lot of players just couldn't play. Uh, and then I guess the venue was pretty shitty in terms of just like overall safety and like other conditions. Like those booths were not made to standard. I'll just say that they were not the TI booths. Um, and but I guess most of the problems were on the production side. Um, I guess EG solved a lot of our own issues, like shitty food and stuff like that, by just like spending a shit ton of money because, um, thanks Jeff Bezos. I'm just gonna say that. Um, but yeah, most of the problems were on the production side,
Yeah.
and that was I can't imagine what it would have been like as Bruno or Tad who were at the event, or um, Sharon who was also doing a lot of work there, and then like the talent who had to deal with that. I think LD probably wanted to shoot himself in the face. Um,
Did you? I mean, did you get to see much of like LD
yeah,
and Bruno that while you were there?
yeah, it was like the Chinese production like didn't understand so many things about how to run a show, um or what was required. I think the Russians went insane. Um, like the guys operating their cameras like would fuck up a lot of shots. Like one of the guys in there just was like, "What the fuck is this guy doing with my shot? He's ruining everything." And then like they didn't. There was like communication barriers um where like the English and Russian production would try and say something to the Chinese technicians or people responsible for like providing them with like overlays and stuff like that, and like they just wouldn't get it. Um, and then like I think the Chinese side also got like super frustrated at the Western side. Um, and then I think like everybody in that production area just got like super pissed off at each other. Uh, and then like Bonnie had to step up from being a translator to running an entire production on her own while like
Oh,
never doing it herself. Um, there were like loose wires everywhere,
yeah.
cables that weren't taped down.
Yeah, I believe I saw
Um,
LD send out a tweet of himself taping cables down.
yeah, it was there wasn't like internet in the casting room. There wasn't air conditioning in that room. Like for the first couple days when you were watching those guys on the analyst desk, they were burning in there. It was
Oh,
how it was unreal how hot it was in that room.
oh.
Unreal. Um, it was just
Do you think you're going to see similar type of? Do you worry about any types of issues like that at Manila, or do you think Valve kind of learned
no,
the lesson?
um, no. I don't think it'll be nearly as that bad, and I don't think it'll be that bad either. or really bad at all. I think PGL does a great job in their events. I mean, I trust them to run events. They they're really solid guys. And there's like a very clear hierarchy there. Like Silvu, the guy who does PGL, runs a really tight ship, whereas the people that when Perfect World was a mess. Anderson, the director there, like he didn't know what the fuck was going on. That guy, um, like had his head up his ass the entire time. And very much a lot of that, a lot of the organization, uh, at Perfect World and at the Shanghai Major were, it was like a bunch of people trying to pass the buck along, uh, you know, trying to shift blame, and it was like
Yeah, I know.
different. It was like different companies working the same event without clear direction. Um, oh, by the way, I guess something I will drop on your show is Anderson got fired.
Oh,
If if anybody didn't know, yeah, so he got fired from his position at Perfect World.
wow.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah, so
well, I mean, somebody had to drop, right? Somebody had to
yeah, and
take the fall.
I think it's fair that he was, and personally, I think he probably should have been fired a long time ago. He probably should have been fired after DAC, to be honest. I don't know. I see a lot of people say that like DAC was a great event or something like that, and it was like DAC was not a great event. For
Well,
the resources that went into that event, for the the teams there and everything like that, it was not great.
if I
It
re-
was like
if I remember
below
correctly,
average.
wasn't DAC the event that was supposed to bring about a Dota concert if you hit a certain threshold for the compendium? Does that
Maybe,
ring a bell?
maybe.
I've been waiting for my Dota concert.
I don't know. There's so many like things wrong about DAC and like shady shit about it that like never saw the light of day, that never were never really talked about. Um, that I mean, it wasn't that good. It was like below average.
So to shift gears just a little bit before we wrap up, are you gonna miss managing at EG?
Um, in a lot of ways, yeah. I think there's nothing like seeing your team win. Um, and seeing those guys grow. Seeing the people that they were, and seeing that the people that they've become now, is incredibly rewarding. Um, Seeing that the lessons that you try and teach them, or things that you try and get them to understand, like take root a little, is rewarding. Like all of them have changed somewhat. All of them have grown. Um, from Sumail to Artur to Peter. Um, Maybe Clinton a little less because he's like 100 years old. Uh, for the most part, I think they're all better people because of this experience, and that's not just better players, but I think just better adults.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
yeah.
so I guess before I let you go, do you have any great behind the scenes EG stories? Maybe something we don't know about. Little quirks that we may not know about a player, or
Okay, I'll share something. I think um, I might have said it before. I don't know how many people might know or whatever, but it's a really funny story, so I'll say it again. Um, so during the Boston boot camp before the Frankfurt major, um, I came to the boot camp late. The rest of the guys were with Phil. I came to the boot camp late because I had to stay in San Francisco um, to take care of Sumail's visa. Um, so when I got to the boot camp, I walk into the hotel room. It was like I think it was like Artur's room, and the rest of the team is in there. Artur's there with his shirt off. He's just in his boxers. It was the last day of boot camp, so they're a little looser, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, sure.
Um, and I walk into the room. Artur's like half naked. Um, and then Sam's there. Sam was our coach for the event. I think a lot of people forget that as well. Did have a coach for Frankfurt. Uh, so Bulba's there, and they're both on the bed. Artur's standing on the bed, and he starts walking towards me, and he goes, "Oh, Charles is here," and Sam is like, "Artur, come here," and then Sam is like tugging at Artur's boxers, and they're like they're not briefs, they're boxers, so they're like kind of loose. So he's just like tugging at his boxers. I'm just, and then like 2 seconds walking in, Sam tugs too hard and shifts the boxers, and Artur's dick just pops out, and it's just in front of me.
Can you report?
And I mean, to this day, I don't really know what happened. I don't know why Sam was pulling on Artur's boxers.
Oh god.
Um,
But that was how you were greeted at Frankfurt.
yeah. I just walked into the hotel room. Sam basically pulls down Artur's pants. I just see his like, yeah.
It is I have to ask because it's just it's just good journalistic integrity. Is our tour well endowed?
It's so it's surprisingly, it's actually not the first time he's shown me his penis.
Oh.
Um, back during DAC, me, Clinton, Artur, and Bone Seven, this after the tournament was over, like, we went out, and we were drinking, and we went to a massage parlor, and it was like a little homoerotic, um, especially for like four straight men, to be, uh, it wasn't a very big room, but we got massages. It's all good. And we're there. It's like shirts off, pants off, but for the most part, we kept the rest of our clothes on except for our tour, I guess, who decided, let's just get naked, guys. And he's just like, he just starts taking off his clothes and just shows me his penis a bunch of times.
Well, those sound like the actions of an unashamed man. So
Yeah,
I'll let the listener draw their own conclusions.
it's funny because like I'll tease him and I'll be like, remember that time you showed me your dick and it was small, and then he gets really really angry about it. He gets super defensive. I said that to him when we were in Manila, and he's like, it was at the after party, and I said that to him in Manila, and he got super angry in the middle of the after party. He's like, "No, it's not, dude. It's not. I swear. When you saw it, when you saw it, it was I wasn't hard." So he's like, I'll take off. Let's take off our pants right now. I'll show you, dude. I'll show you right here. And
So he's a grower, not a shower, maybe.
I mean, according to him.
You guys, you all heard it here. You heard it here first. Well, Charlie, thanks a ton for coming on the show and taking time to just fill us in on what you're up to and a little about your history.
Sure, it was fun, guys.
So if folks want to find you, they can follow you on Twitter at Charlie C. Yang. Of course, that's where you find out about everything that's going on. Do you have anything big coming up that you want to plug before we let you go?
I'll be at the BTS hub for the Manila Major. Other than that, I guess a lot of people probably want to know about the town.
Oh yeah, I can't believe I didn't ask you anything about the town while we had you here.
Oh, I mean, you can go ahead and ask.
Well, yeah. So when is the next event scheduled?
I'll probably reveal that a bit later, but it's not gonna be for a fair amount of time. We started planning now because I don't wanna I want to give us a lot of room to work this out. Like last time, we didn't have that much time to plan it because I sort of like came up with the idea on a whim and I was like, let's do this. And then we thought of like when's the best day to do this, and it was like in a month from now. So we basically planned the event in a month, and I don't want to go through that again. So I'm giving us a good amount of cushion here. Not everybody will be back, but you'll see a lot of new faces. We plan on doing better stuff. It'll still be 3 days. I think if we made the event any longer, we would actually kill each other.
Fair enough. Okay, well that's awesome. And of course, I think it's the town.gg. Is that
Yep.
where? Yeah. So check out the town.gg if you guys want to read about it. If you don't know what Mafia is, well, there's another episode we did with Charlie Yang and Greg Laird where we kind of got into the rules about that you can check out on .p. And you can go and find out the specific variant that they are playing at the town.gg. And hopefully find more info out about when the event comes out as Mr. Yang and Greg Laird plan that thing. Of course, if you guys want to find Charlie again, it's at Charlie C. Yang on Twitter. If you guys want to find us, we're at .p_show. That's DOTP_show. We're defenseofthepatients.com. Search Defense of the Patients, iTunes, Stitcher, all your favorite podcast apps. And twitch.tv/.ptv. I think those are all our plugs. Thanks again, Charlie, for coming on the show. Really appreciate it, and it's been a blast.
Yeah. Again, thanks for having me.
All right, well, until next time, this is Cyphus for Charlie Yang saying good luck and Godspeed.